Après Ski Make-Along. In the last 2 weeks, we've made it to halfway up the front and back of our sweaters, and now we're ready to add our next section. And I think this week might be my favourite, and it's my favourite as we add bobbles, and I love bobbles. Let me introduce you to our new techniques for part 3, and this section is definitely channeling all those classic Fair Isle sweater vibes. Part 3 is broken down into 5 steps this week and introduces 3 new techniques. We've got this really lovely colour work zigzag and our bobbles, which are a brand new detail for this part. So step 1 takes us up to our bobbles and introduces 2 of our new techniques to make this colour pattern. So we'll be using tapestry crochet, where we take 2 colours along the row, hiding and trapping the non-working colour as we go, and working long over treble stitches, which go over 2 rows to create this longer post. Step 2 introduces our 3D bobbles that create a really lovely detail in this part. Step 3 is a repeat of step 1, so using those 2 new colour techniques. Step 4 is working a colour stripe that we've previously worked with our ribbed texture and our back loop stitch. And step 5 is working our longer treble colour stripe. I'm now going to take you step by step through part 3. So you want to grab your yarn, your hooks and your project so far and come and work along with me. So to start part 3, step 1, we want to be using our red mix. And before I start, I always like to count my stitches just to make sure that I've got the right stitch count before I start my next section. And for step 1 and our red mix, we want to start with a longer tail. So I'm going to get a longer 25 centimetre tail, add my slip knot and place that on my hook, because I'm going to be joining in on the right side with a single crochet. And when you're working with a longer tail, make sure that you hold that out the way and you don't start crocheting along your line with the tail. You want to make sure you're using the yarn that's attached to the ball. And I'm joining in the top of that first stitch with a single crochet, so going through the whole stitch from the front, yarn over from the back, pull through. So I've got 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. And then I'm going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's our height because we're working a row of trebles. And we're working with our colour stitch detail. So we're working from the back, front, back to get our raised stitch detail. So I'm going to yarn over twice, and then I'm coming from the back through the same stitch where I've joined over the side of the top of the stitch and then through the top of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through all of the stitches from the row below. So I've got 4 loops on my hook, then yarn over, pull through 2. I'm left with 3, yarn over, pull through 2, left with 2, yarn over, pull through those 2 to finish my treble. And I'm going to work those down the row. So yarn over twice, from the back through the whole stitch, over the side of the top of that stitch, and then through from the front to the back of the whole stitch to the top, yarn over, pull through all of those tops of the stitch from the row below. I've got my 4 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm going to work that all the way down the row for my row 1 of my part 3. And as you get to the end of the row and through the last top of the stitch that you can work, your final stitch will be in the top third chain from below. So the top third chain, you're going through the third chain with your final treble, and this makes sure that you don't lose any stitches in your row. So that's row 1. I'm now going to turn to work row 2, which is on our wrong side, and I'm going to work a single crochet through the top of that first stitch, and then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. And that's because along this row we're working double crochets, so we don't need quite so tall a turning chain. We're going to work double crochets. So I'm going to work 1 double crochet in the next stitch, so yarn over through the whole top of the stitch from the front to the back, yarn over, pull through. I've got 3 on my hook, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm then going to chain 1, and I'm going to miss 1 below, and then I'm going to work 3 double crochets, 1 in the next tops of the 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm following that repeat. So I'm chaining 1, missing 1, and then working 3 double crochets, 1 into each stitch, 2, 3, and then chaining 1, missing 1, and working 3 double crochets, and I'm working that all the way down my row for row 2. And after the last chain in the repeat, you'll have 2 more double crochets on the row to finish. So 1, your last will be in the 3rd chain up of that last stitch. For row 2, we're now going to turn and ready to start with row 3. And we're now introducing our 2 different colour techniques. So we'll be working long stitches, long trebles down, and we'll also be working tapestry crochet, working with 2 colours in the row. So we also want our mint mix ready to work in this row. So to start off, we're taking our work, and in our red, in the top of that first stitch, I'm going to work 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 1 chain. And although this is to represent a double crochet, so we'd normally have 2 chains, when we change colour, when we're working tapestry crochet, we want to do it in the last part of the stitch. So this is why in this stitch, we've only done 1 chain in our red mix. And then I'm going to take my mint, and join it in. So I'm leaving a tail and I'm pinching it with my red mix, and I'm going to work 1 chain in my mint and holding those together so it doesn't pull out at the start. Now when we're working tapestry crochet, we're also going to travel our yarn along with us. So we want to take our red mix and bring it across, and we can also take the end of our mint at the same time. And I'm just going to hold this along the edge of the top of my last row, and I'm going to first work in my mint mix 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So I'm yarn over, and then I'm going into the top of my next stitch, and then where you can see I've left those 2, my end and the red mix, along the top. If I then yarn over and bring through my mint mix to the front for my double crochet, you can see it starts to trap these ends in. So I'm going to complete my double crochet. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So it's my first mint double crochet. I now want to work a long treble. I'm working down over the row below and then into the top of the stitch from row 1. So I'm yarn overing twice, twice, then I'm coming over the top of that row below into the top of that stitch from row 1, and I find it easiest just to fold that row 2 back out of the way, then yarn over, pull through to the front. I've got the 4 on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And if I straighten out that row below, you can see we've got the double crochet in mint and then the treble in mint. And we now want to work another double crochet in mint. So we're going to be trapping these ends. So we yarn over and then into the top of the next stitch. Yarn over from the back, pull through to the front. We've got 3. Yarn over, pull through 2. And then instead of finishing the stitch with my mint, because I'm now switching to my red mix, I'm going to drop the mint and now hold that along with the work. Take the red, yarn over and pull through, and that finishes off our double crochet. The reason that we do the very last part of the stitch in the next colour is because how the stitch travels along. If we work the whole of the stitch in mint, we'd get a little dash too far along over our red mix. So you always want to change colour when working tapestry technique in the last part of the stitch. So our next stitch that we're working is 1 double crochet in our red mix. So yarn over into the top of the next stitch, yarn over from the back, pull through to the front. We've got our 3, yarn over, pull through 2. I've got 2 left on my hook, but as I've only got 1 red stitch here, I'm already switching back to my mint. So I've got the very last part of that stitch on my hook. I'm going to pick up my mint, make sure it's not the shorter tail, that you're grabbing the longer piece. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through those 2 to finish that double crochet. And now I'm ready to work the next sections in my mint. So I'm going yarn over into the top of the stitch, working 1 double crochet, then I'm going to work 1 long treble into the top of the stitch from my row 1. So yarn over twice, fold that row back so I can get into the row 1 top of the stitch, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to complete my treble. Then I'm working 1 more double crochet in mint and then changing to my red in the very last part of the stitch. So yarn over, pull through. I've got my 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm ready to drop my mint and pick up my red to complete that stitch. So yarn over, pull through 2. And now I'm working a red double crochet. So yarn over into the next stitch over those ends and that traveling yarn. Yarn over, pull through to the front. I've got my 3. Yarn over, pull through 2, leaving that last part of the stitch on my hook and switching the red to my mint to yarn over, pull through to complete that stitch and get ready to work my repeat again. So I'm going to work that all the way down the row. Your last stitch of the row will be red and it will be worked in the second chain. And we're going to work it until the very last part of the stitch. So we've got 2 loops, we've worked the first half of our double crochet, and we're going to finish it off by working the very last part in our mint. And we've worked all the way across for our row 3. We can now cut our red mix. So leave a nice tail, cut our red mix. And then I'm going to turn the work for my row 4, which will be on the wrong side. So this is what our colour work will look like from the wrong side. And you can see from the right side, we've got that really nice sort of zigzag icicle-esque point and half of the diamond pattern of our design. So for row 4, we're back to working in one colour. So we've done all the colour transition in our row 3 from our red to our mint. And so for row 4, we've turned. I'm going to single crochet in the top of that stitch. So you're working through the top of the red stitch to work 1 single crochet, and then you're going to chain 2, because we're going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch along the row. So we yarn over and then 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way along, finishing with your double crochet in the second chain for that last stitch. So your last stitch of step 1 is a double crochet in that second chain, so it's the last red stitch of the row to finish off step 1, leaving your mint attached, turning our work. So you can see that we've worked our colour change method in step 1. We're now going to move to step 2, which is our bobble row. And we also want to introduce our blue. Continuing in my mint mix, I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to single crochet in the top of that first stitch. And then I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to lay it, give myself a tail, and then hold it in place and lay it along the top of my stitches. And I want to trap it with my next stitch. So I'm doing 1 more single crochet in mint. So I'm going into the next stitch. And if this is laying over the top of our stitches, when then I yarn over and pull through, it traps it in place, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through both to complete my stitch and trap my blue ready to work for my different coloured bobbles. In my next stitch, I'm going to work my first bobble, and we want our bobbles to line up with the longer treble below. So they should be in line with that treble and the point, the mint point of our zigzag, or when we complete it, our diamond. And so to work our bobbles, they're made up of trebling together. So we want to work 5 trebles together. So I'm going to yarn over twice in my blue. So I've dropped my mint to the back. I don't want to trap it. I just want it loose at the back. And so into the next stitch, I'm yarn overing twice and then going in, yarn over, pull through, So I've got 4 wraps on my hook, 4 loops, because I've got 3 in blue and 1 in mint. I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2. So I've got 2 left in blue and 1 in mint. Yarn over, pull through the next 2. And I'm going to leave the last 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to then work another treble, and we're just leaving the very last section of that treble unworked. So I've yarn over twice into the same hole, the same stitch, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through to the front. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and leave the last section of the stitch still unworked on my hook. So you can see we're building up our trebles that are just left with the last section not finished. So yarn over twice into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, leave the last section. We've got 3 so far, and you can count them by the posts in blue. 1, 2, 3. I want 2 more of those unfinished trebles. So yarn over twice, into the same stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I've got 4. My final one, yarn over twice, into the same stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you can now see that I've got 1 mint stitch on my hook, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue unfinished trebles. I'm going to now drop the blue, and I'm going to pick up my mint, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all the stitches on my hook to pinch them in. And then to help my bobble, I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to pull. And then I'm going to lie the blue again on the top of my row below, taking my mint. And I'm going to work a single crochet in the next stitch. So through, yarn over, pull through 2 to work a single crochet. And you can see this pinches in my bobble and covers the blue with the mint till we work along to our next bobble. So we've got 1 single crochet. I want 2 more, so 1 in each stitch. So 1 in the next stitch, 1 in the next stitch, and then in the 4th stitch along from my previous bobble, I'm going to work another bobble. So I'm going to drop the mint, and then I'm going to work my 5 trebles together bobble in the following stitch. So yarn over twice in my blue, into the next stitch, all worked into the next stitch. I'm working 5 trebles together. So you work your treble but leave the very last step on your hook so you can build up your trebles. So I've got 4, I've got 1 more. So until you have 5 trebles in blue, but with the very last part not completed, you drop your blue, pick up your mint, yarn over and pull through everything to join them together, pull your blue to help them ruche, lay that yarn along the top of your row below and trap it by working 3 single crochets in a row, so 1 into each stitch, and then in the 4th stitch along work your next blue bobble, and you want to carry on that all the way down the row. So you put your mint to the back, yarn over twice with your blue into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. So you've got 3 wraps in your blue and 1 in your mint. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, leaving the last step on your hook. So you've got 1 loop mint, 1 loop blue. I'm going to work my next treble into the same stitch, leaving the very last step. So now I've got 2 blue loops on my hook, and I'm building that up until I have 5 incomplete trebles on my hook and 1 mint loop. So I've got 5 blue loops and 1 mint, drop my blue, pick up my mint, yarn over, pull through everything, pull my blue to ruche that in to help your bobble, and then in your mint and over the top of your blue, working 3 single crochets and working that all the way down the row. Once you've worked your last bobble, you want to single crochet 2 to finish the row. So your first one and your last single crochet will go into the last chain. So it's the second chain up to finish your stitches of your bobble row. And step 2, I can now cut my blue, so leave an end, cut my blue, and I'm now ready to work on step 3. So I'm going to take my piece, turn it, and then I'm going to start my step 3 by working a single crochet into that first stitch. So back into that first stitch with a single crochet, and then chain 2, and then I'm going to work a double crochet into each stitch all the way across the row. So just working through the top of the stitch, working a double crochet in mint into each stitch all the way across the row for row 1, step 3. When you get to your last stitch, you want to turn. We're back on the right side. So to start row 2, we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first stitch. So we're not wrapping around our hook, we're just going straight into the stitch, grabbing the yarn from the back and pulling it through everything at once. And then we're going to also slip stitch into the next stitch as well. So through the top of the stitch with our hook, grab the yarn from the back and pull it through everything. So we've travelled across from the end. We now want to chain 3, so yarn over 1, yarn over 2, yarn over 3 to get our height. And then I'm going to work a double crochet in the next stitch, so yarn over, double crochet in the next stitch, and then 1 more of those, so yarn over, double crochet in the next stitch. So I've worked my chain up, that's my fake double crochet, and then 2 double crochets. I'm now going to chain 1, miss 1 below from the row below, and then I'm going to 3 double crochet, so 1 into each stitch, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to repeat that down the row. So I've got my chain 1, miss 1 stitch, and then 3 double crochets. So 1 into each stitch. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, miss 1, 3 double crochets. And I'm going to repeat that all the way down the row until I get to the last stitch. And so you're going to finish on just after working your 3 double crochets, and then the last stitch would normally be that second chain from the row below to finish off the row, but we're actually going to finish this row 1 stitch short. So you want to not work through that last second chain, so you're finishing after your 3 double crochets, and I'm going to fasten off. So I'm going to yarn over my hook, pull through, give myself a nice end, snip my mint and pull that all the way through to fasten off. So you can now see that we've worked our row with our spaces. And then for row 3, we're going to bring in our next colour and work our colour work row, introducing orange. Now to work row 3, we're going to join in on the right side. So we've fastened off our row 2 and we're coming back on the right side for row 3, and we're working our mint mix that we'll be reintroducing to this row and our orange at the same time. So I'm going to start off with joining in our orange, and I'm going to come with my hook and I'm going to work through the top of that last double crochet from row 1. So I'm going under where that first slip stitch is, and I'm placing my hook through. And I'm joining in with the slip stitch, so I'm taking my yarn, I'm just holding it, pinching it at the back, yarn over, pull through for my slip stitch, and I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain of row 2. So where that is if you see where we've come across and up the 3rd chain, is 1, 2, 3. I go through that 3rd chain, yarn round my hook, pull through that chain and through the loop on my hook to join in. So you can see our orange now joins in and travels up. I'm then going to chain 3, so round my hook, 1, 2, 3. So I've made my height, and then I'm going to double crochet into the same chain as I slip stitch. So yarn round hook into that same stitch, and I'm working a double crochet, but I'm going to be switching to mint for my next stitch. So I've got my 3 loops, then I yarn round hook and pull through 2, and I want to leave that last section on my hook as I'm going to reintroduce my mint mix. Make sure you get both strands. And so I'm going to pinch my mint mix as I'm introducing it, yarn round hook and pull through both of those loops. And then by going over my tail, I'll trap it in. So then I'm going to hold my mint mix tail and my orange along the top. and I'm working 1 mint double crochet. So I'm yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over my hook, pulling through, so I've trapped my ends. I've got 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, I've got 2 left, and because I'm changing to orange for my next stitch, I don't want to finish in my mint. I want to drop my mint and pick up my orange to finish that double crochet. And then I'm going to work 1 double crochet in orange, and I'm working the full double crochet, and then I'm going to work 1 treble in orange, and I'm working into the top of the stitch under our space. So I'm yarn overing twice, then into the top of that stitch, folding the last row back so it's out of the way, yarn over, pull through, then I've got my 4 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's my longer treble, so this the point of my zigzag. And this should line up with the highest point of my red from below. So you can see we're making our diamond shape now. So my next stitch is a double crochet in orange. So yarn over into the top of the stitch. I'm still trapping those ends, so those ends are running along the top edge. Pull through, so I've got 3, yarn over, pull through 2, and I'm switching to mint again, so I'm leaving that last pair, dropping my orange, picking up my mint mix, yarn over, pull through those 2, then lying my orange and that tail along the top of the work to yarn over. I'm working 1 double crochet in mint, but leaving the last step as I'm switching to orange. So drop my mint, pick up my orange to complete the double crochet, and then I'm working that pattern again. So 1 full double crochet in orange, 1 treble into the top of the stitch under the space, so working my longer treble, and then working another double crochet in orange, but leaving the last step of the stitch to switch to mint, and then working 1 mint double crochet, leaving the last part of the stitch to switch to orange, and trapping our non-working yarn as we go. So I'm going to repeat that all the way down the row, working both my longer trebles and my tapestry crochet technique. All the way down the row. So to finish the row, I'm going to work our last stitch, and this will work over 2 layers and be our last long stitch. So to work this, we're going to yarn over, and then I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to go through the top of that last stitch. So not the part where I fastened off, but the last top loop bit of that last stitch. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through. So I've now got 3 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to yarn over again, and then I'm going to work through that last chain that we missed from row 1. So that last chain that we missed. So go through the top of that chain, and then yarn around hook and pull through. So I've now got 5 loops on my hook, and I'm going to finish by working this stitch. So I yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2 to complete my stitch that's worked over 2 rows and attached by working through the stitches. So I'm now ready to start row 4, as that's the completed row 3, and I'm also ready to cut my mint mix. So take a length, use my scissors, snip, and I'm ready to just continue in my orange yarn. So I can turn the work, and then for row 4 I'm continuing in orange, and I'm going to single crochet in the top of that first stitch, and then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3 for my height, and then I'm working trebles into the top of each stitch all the way along the row. So I'm yarn overing twice, then I'm going into the top of the next stitch. So I'm working trebles into the top of each stitch all the way along, with my final treble being worked into the top of the 3rd chain and then fastened off. To finish off step 3, you're going to fasten off. So an extra stitch, take an end, snip and pull through. And we're now ready to start step 4. I always just like to count my stitches to make sure that where we've gone into the chains at the end and we've created this detail, that we've kept the right amount of stitches. And to start step 4, we're going to introduce our pink, and we're going to join in still on the wrong side. So I haven't turned from step 3. So I'm joining in the opposite end to where I fastened off my orange, and I'm placing a slip knot on my hook in the pink, and I'm going to join in with a single crochet join in the 3rd chain up from the start. So into the top of that stitch, that 3rd chain, joining in with a single crochet, and then I'm going to work a single crochet into the top of each stitch all the way across my row. So into the top of that 1st stitch, and I'm working 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way along, working through the whole top of the stitch. When I get to the end of row 1, I'm going to turn, and for row 2 I'm going to chain 1 up, and then I'm working single crochet in the back loop only, 1 of those into each stitch. So single crochet into the back loop, working 1 into each stitch all the way across, and I'm going to work that for 3 rows. So I'll have 4 rows in total of pink, 1 row that I've just worked for my first row of single crochet through the whole stitch, 3 rows of single crochet into the back loop only to create our ribbed effect stripe in pink for step 4. Once you've completed your 4 rows of step 4, we're now ready to start step 5. I'm going to leave a nice end of my pink and snip. And for step 5, we're going to bring in our red mix. And I'm going to leave a nice end, and I'm going to join that with a slip stitch. So I'm going to pinch those together, yarn round hook, and pull through my last stitch of step 4. I'm going to turn And to secure, I'm going to single crochet in that first stitch through the whole stitch. Work 1 single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3 for my height. And so I'm going to finish off step 5 with 1 row of trebles all the way across. So yarn over twice, and then working 1 treble into each stitch all the way along to complete step 5 and finish our part 3. After your last treble, you want to fasten off, so work an extra stitch, give yourself an end, snip, pull all the way through to complete your last row of part 3. You can turn your work over and you've now completed all those 5 steps to finish up part 3. You can start to see how all your parts are starting to flow and come together, and you've now worked your way 3/4 of the way up of the front of your jumper. And you want to repeat those steps 1 to 5 on your second panel to work the back of your jumper and finish both parts of your part 3. And that's your stitch techniques for part 3. In this section, we've worked with quite a few different techniques. So don't worry if they're new to you. You can rewatch the videos as much as you need. My top tip with this part and working with multiple colours in a row is to make sure you don't pull your tension too tight. And if your bobbles are looking a little bit wonky, don't worry, a little bit of blocking at the end will sort them right out. I hope you enjoyed working on this next part of your make along. And don't forget to share your progress with us by using the hashtag @ProSchemeMal. You also want to tag myself, Katie Jones Knit, and Hobby in your photos. Plus, there's the Hobby Facebook Make Along group, where you can share your tips and tricks and join in with everyone else working on the make along. I'll see you next week and happy making!